Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hassan, and today I'm going to be presenting our project. Our reading was assigned by our reading assignment was Frederick Douglass, and he actually wrote this full book after escaping from slavery. And little insights in the book. We've got it right here. Summary says Frederick Douglass's novel is possibly one of the best insights to slavery. We learn the true struggles of a slave and what they have to do to survive. Douglass, like many other slaves, didn't remember his mother that well. She died when he was 7 years old. Douglass eventually dares the attempt of reading and writing. Unusually, his slave master's wife aided him in the process, but eventually turned on him. Douglass manages to use tactics to continue learning, to read and write, and become successful at it. Douglass gets sent to one of the most cruel slave masters known as Edward Cody as a consequence from his previous slave master. Time passes and Douglass rebels against Cody with success. Finally, he pursues a daring journey of escape and leaves the plantation disguise, where he is eventually aided by his future wife. So basically, he was born kind of knowing his mom, but he grew up forgetting about her because she died when he was a young kid, and he was taken in by slave masters. The guy was always cruel, but his wife was all right at first, and she kind of helped him reading and writing, but she knew the dangers of it. And her husband turned her against Frederick Douglass, and she eventually became just as cool as he was. And then he gets caught eventually reading and writing, gets sent to his name is Edward Cody. He's known as a slave breaker, and he eventually escapes after a while. And after a few years of escaping, he wrote the full novel.
I'm Cody, and I researched the theme of the passage. There's many themes throughout this passage, but the one I saw the most was the theme of ignorance as a tool of slavery that the white people used towards slaves. This can be seen when Master Hugh's wife treats Frederick Douglass in a horrible way when she figures out he is getting smarter. Then she refuses to let him learn anything else. If he tries, then she punishes him for becoming more smarter. This is what most slave owners actually did during this time period, because they knew if the slaves would become smarter, they would try to outsmart their masters, and they didn't want the slaves to act or talk intelligent because they were viewed as lesser than whites. So they treated them like as animals. Like they would let them do work, but they wouldn't teach them anything. This was a real problem, not only in the story, but this was also a big problem in America at the time. The story really does a great job of showing the theme throughout the story of the white people treating slaves as lesser than humans, and not letting Frederick Douglass rely on books because they want to treat him as a lower being. So that's the main theme I saw throughout this.
My name is Ben, and to add on to Frederick Douglass, he was born in 1818 and died in 1895. The exact month and day was unknown just because they didn't hold records for the slaves. But Frederick Douglass was not only an author, but he was a human rights leader, and he was the first African-American citizen to hold the highest U.S. government rank. He is a civil rights activist. He originally taught to read and write by a slave master's wife, which the slave master did not know that was going on, but his wife decided to do it anyways. He attempted to escape twice before succeeding. The last time he escaped was with the help of another slave by the name of Anna Murray, which he ended up falling in love with, and he married her. Frederick lived free in Massachusetts and was part of a huge black community. He later joined the church and spoke for the anti-slavery. He first published his autobiography. It was a narrative of his life, and the book was the bestseller in the U.S. After he published it, he traveled overseas to avoid recapture. He wrote many articles and papers. Frederick supported women's rights also, and the first African American to attend the first women's rights convention.
My name is Quitin Williams, and a quote by Frederick Douglass to add on to, it says, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." This quote symbolizes his struggle during the slavery time. This is his wife. She aided him when he was escaping from slavery. This is a picture of Frederick Douglass. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are men who want to crop without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. This struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Frederick uses great analogies to describe how struggle is vital for success. And this is a house that Frederick Douglass lived in when he escaped from slavery. If you want to zoom in and look at it and see it. All right.